A 43-year-old woman with no family history of heart disease and in good health otherwise is probably just about the last person you would expect to have a heart attack. But it happened to her. Lynn Hebert, you're about to meet her. February is Healthy Heart Month. It's a time to raise awareness, especially of the risks and warning signs of heart disease. 1 in 3 Canadian women die from heart disease every year. The Women's Healthy Heart Initiative is the first nurse-led women's heart disease prevention program in Canada. It was started by an MUHC nurse, Wendy Ray, and you're about to meet her too. Lynn, let's start with your story though. Hello, thanks for your time today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So no history of heart disease in your family, an otherwise healthy 43-year-old woman, yet you had a heart attack. What happened?
Yeah, what happened is that, like you said, I had no family history. I was just a regular Sunday afternoon, and I started having what I know now as like textbook symptoms for a heart attack, numbness in the left arm and the jaw, and there it was. I had a heart attack.
So no pre-existing conditions that you knew of?
None whatsoever.
Can I just ask, when you say classic, and I think this is important for people to know, you tend to hear about it and forget about it. When you describe classic symptoms as you now know them, explain exactly what that means. What were you feeling at the time, and how did it play out?
Well, at first, I didn't think I was having a heart attack, but in the end, I really had, my left arm was numb, tingling, and it went all the way to my jaw. So that's what I know now as being heart attack symptoms. But since I have no family who have heart issues, I was not familiar with that. But fortunately, my husband just took me straight to the hospital. So these are the symptoms that I had.
And how's your recovery been, Lynn?
It's been great. I have to say, I have to thank actually the Women's Healthy Heart Initiative, because having a heart attack is not just physical. There's also a psychological component, and you need help. And Women's Healthy Heart Initiative, I'm glad they were there for me.
So you're someone who would never have thought that this would happen to you, but it did happen. What do you want people to know about what happened to you?
I think what's important is that in doubt, if you don't know, it's very important to be your own advocate, because often I find they tell women that they have anxiety or panic attack, but I think we know ourselves better than anybody else. So be your own advocate. And heart attacks, even if it's not only men who have them, and there are resources for women also who have heart attacks.
Okay, let's bring Wendy in on this. So Wendy Ray is a cardiac nurse clinician. She's the founder and director of the Women's Healthy Heart Initiative at the MUHC that Lynn just spoke of. And so, Wendy, we know women are 6 times more likely to die from heart disease than breast cancer, but heart disease is 80% preventable, right, with early detection and prevention. So, Wendy, is that sort of a big part of what the Women's Healthy Heart Initiative is all about, or is it more follow-up like Lynn touched on?
Actually, we're more prevention, so we take care of more women who have not had a heart attack or a cardiac event, because as you mentioned earlier, Natasha, heart disease is 80% preventable, so we work very hard on lifestyle. So regular physical activity, watching our weight, eating well, limiting alcohol, not becoming diabetic, blood pressure, and elevated cholesterol.
So what are, and again, I'm thinking of Lynn's situation. No family history. I mean, I think if we know we have a family history, we're on the lookout, right? And we're taking extra measures to make sure that we're being heart healthy. But no family history, no existing conditions, no warning signs, so to speak. So what should someone be on the lookout for, Wendy?
Okay, so the message here is, number one, we as women, even as young women in 40s and 50s, should have heart disease on our radar. And we don't have it on our radar. We're going to be watching our husbands, our partners, our dads, that kind of stuff for it, but we're not watching for it ourselves. Number two is, don't ignore symptoms. Women tend to prioritize and deprioritize others and deprioritize themselves and think, I'll feel better, I'll lie down, I'll have a cup of tea, I'll talk to my friend, I'll wait until it passes. But this delays care. And by delaying care, we put ourselves at greater risk. So as Lynn was saying, the symptoms actually between men and women, we have learned, can be a little bit different. Chest discomfort is still number one for both men and women. So it's not necessarily a pain. It can actually be more likely a burning, heaviness, tightness, pressure, or squeezing, generally across the chest and into the back. Lynn also had numbness down her left arm. And interestingly, women have more associated symptoms than men. And those things we're looking for is suddenly feeling unwell, very short of breath, breaking into a sweat, feeling nauseated, and just feeling there's something wrong. So rather than ignoring those symptoms, go to the hospital, go get checked out. If you're afraid of waiting in the waiting room, a good question to ask is, or tell them why you're there. I'm here because I'm afraid I might be having a heart attack, to make sure that looking at this 44-year-old woman that they're going to check for that. And if you're not having a heart attack, that's a good day. You get sent home. If you are having a heart attack, could be the luckiest day of your life because, as we know, heart attacks kill.
I'm thinking about what you said there, that women tend to sort of minimize and assume still that it's largely a man's problem. Has there been a shift in that? I feel like we're slightly more aware now of how vulnerable women are to heart disease.
I think actually you were talking about having children and whatever. As parents, we become, as women, great triagers. Because if every time our child was something wrong, we run off to the hospital, we would be there all the time. Mm-hmm. So we're very skillful at triaging, but in this particular case, it kind of works against us because we are downplaying, whereas we shouldn't be doing that. So I think that's really important. Are we more aware? I went into a city hall the other day about Wear Red Canada, which is this weekend, and there were two 35-year-old women I was speaking to, and they were gobsmacked when I told them why I was there, and that 1 in 3 women died of heart disease and stroke, and they had no idea. So wow. Our work is not done. I think it's better, Natasha, but I think our work is really not done. And lastly, we've seen an uptick in North America, U.S. and Canada, in young women, 40s and their 50s, having heart disease and cardiac events. And it's just, it shouldn't be. It just shouldn't be that way.
Can I just ask, with respect to course of
Sure.
treatment, because in the case, Lynn, if you're still there, a 43-year-old woman, no pre-existing conditions of any kind, you go to the hospital, you're diagnosed with a heart attack. What's the course of treatment from that point on? Or what was yours?
Well, are you asking me, Wendy?
I'm asking Lynn if Lynn is still there, but...
Oh, right.
Here. What I had, it's not very known. It's called a SCAD. It's a spontaneous tear of the wall of the arteries. So right now it was medically managed because at first they didn't know what I had, but I'm on heart medication for the rest of my life. And I was treated like anyone who had a heart attack, which means I saw a dietitian, I did cardiac rehab and everything. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it does. I'm just wondering, in the case of, you go in, you're treated, and if everyone is basically, depending on the kind of heart attack you had, I guess, is treated the same way. Wendy, is there a standard for this kind of treatment?
Okay, well, so actually there are two things here. Number one, the spontaneous coronary artery dissection is different from a normal heart attack, which is a result of narrowed or clogged coronary arteries. It's actually a split in the artery, so it's a little bit different. So the treatment is different.
Okay.
Because when there's a blocked coronary artery, we can go in, do a balloon, and open it up. The coronary artery, unless the person is unstable, actually medical management is actually the best treatment for it. Okay. But we know also, women in heart disease, we're undertreated, and so it's to get someone to look to begin with. Right. And that's part of the challenge, being a woman instead of a man.
So again, February is Healthy Heart Month. The Women's Healthy Heart Initiative is funded 100% through private donations from the MUHC Foundation. So Wendy, is there a website if people want to donate or help out?
Oh, absolutely. It's WHHIonline.ca, or through the MUHC Foundation. But it should be specifically noted it's for the WHHI. And also Wear Red is this Sunday. So we encourage people to go to our website, join in, do a physical activity, wear red, be goofy, send a picture in, and be healthy.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time today, Lynn and Wendy.
Thank you
for having us.
There you
Thank
go.
you.
It's still amazing, isn't it, Natasha, I guess, to hear as a woman that this is still, I guess, not top of mind for women?
It makes so much sense, though, when you talk about downplaying and the triage approach that Wendy was speaking about, that we don't take our own health seriously as women because we're so busy being concerned about everyone else around us.
And certainly the idea that, your heart, you just don't think that's a man's issue, right? That's what you tend to hear. And then you discover that women's heart problems are top of the list.